Okay, we'll start recording. Thank you, Tan. Okay, guys. So again, today we will have presentation for the chapter 4.1. Chapter 4 have 3 sections or 3 parts. So today we'll start for part 1. And for the part 2, you don't need to present because I already presented and already recorded a video and already uploaded at your e-learning. We will put some question about it. Please watch chapter 4.2 at via e-learning, and later we'll put an assignment for it. This for the next week. So for this week, we will have presentation from section 26, and so who's going to start presenting? Which group? Is it group A?
Yeah, group A.
Okay, group A. Okay, group A, that means we have 5 persons, is it? Let me read your name. If any change at your group names, if they change at the members or any members not here, please inform me. So we have Abdurrahman Ahmad, Abdi, we have Hagid, Chida, we have Hisham Muhammad, and we have Al Mansouri, Imad, and we have Ahmad Ali Yusuf. Is it correct? Any member not active at this group? Shakib, is it Shakib was talking? So we'll start presenting. You can start sharing. Mansouri, why you are 4 person only? Who is not active at your group?
We are 4, Doctor.
Yeah, we're just 4.
Okay, just a minute. Just stop here. Let me see. Hagid, Abdurrahman. Hagid and Abdurrahman. So Hisham, how about Hisham? Hisham Muhammad Mahmoud? He should be at your group actually.
Did you assign after? Now we are just 4 in our group.
Okay, no, you are 5 actually with Hisham. Maybe I assign it. I assign him later. Please contact
Maybe he didn't join.
Yeah, please contact him. Please ask him at the group to join you.
Doctor, I think he dropped the subject or
Really?
changed sections.
Okay, let me check.
I think so.
Let me check first before you start. Hisham. Oh yeah, he dropped the subject. Yeah, so you are right. He dropped the course. Okay, thank you for informing me. So this Hisham. Okay, guys, you can start.
Is the audio working or not?
Okay, your voice is not working. Your voice is not there.
Just 1 minute.
Okay.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum and good morning to everyone. This is Hajjul Ida from Group A, and with me are Abdurrahman Ahmed, Mansouri Ahmad, and Ahmed Ali. And we are going to present the introduction for chapter 4.1. So chapter 4 talks about scientific thinking from 3 different perspectives. The Greek perspective, the Islamic perspective, and the Western perspective. However, chapter 4.1 will focus only on the Greek perspective. It will address the Greek Empire, their worldview, their philosophy, their scientific thoughts, their source of knowledge, methodology, as well as their religion. And here are the 5 objectives for this chapter. So the first objective is explaining the worldview. Second is comparing the epistemology. Third is discussing the scientific methodologies. Number 4 is analyzing the scientific ecosystems. And the 5th is describing the paradigm shift in scientific thinking. And of course, all of these 5 perspectives are going to be addressed from the 3 different perspectives I mentioned earlier. So before we get started with the Greek civilization, I'd like to shed some light on what is scientific thinking first. So as we learned earlier in chapter 1, thinking had 2 definitions, one from the Islamic perspective and the other from the Western perspective. So in the Quran, thinking is always related to study and research. However, in the West, it has to do with philosophy and reasoning. So when we're talking about the Greek Empire here, by definition, scientific thinking refers to both the thinking about the science as well as the reasoning processes. And as we can see here, scientific thinking refers to 2 basic components. The first component is philosophy, and the second component is the methodist thinking. So philosophy is the way a person thinks, and it determines their approach and direction of science. And it differs from person to person and from community to community. So every person and every community has his or their own philosophy when it comes to science. And scientific thinking is the method of thinking practiced by scientists, and it's related to the purpose for which science is implemented. And it is also the skill of thinking about nature and its phenomena according to a particular methodology. So this is about philosophy, and the method of thinking here, which is the second component. On the 5th point here, we can see some examples for method of thinking. So it includes induction, logic, analogy, and creativity. And all of those are necessary to understand and develop science as a dynamic field of knowledge. And that's all for me here. Abdurrahman will take over from here. Thank you.
Part 1 is a Greek science and thinking. These are the objectives you should know at the end of the chapter. First one is explaining the worldwide underlying Greek science. The second one is describing the epistemology of the Greek science. There is a new word here, epistemology. It's a theory of knowledge, especially with regard to its method, validity, and scope, the distinction between a justified belief and opinion. The third one is discussing a variety of scientific methodologies used in the study of Greek science. The fourth one is analyzing the importance of the scientific ecosystem in the development of Greek science. These four are the objectives of this chapter. Usually, you will be able to understand these four at the end of the chapter.
And now we are going to talk about the introduction. This chapter discusses about Greek science from the aspect of thinking, especially science thinking. In the history of Western civilization, the historical period is divided into ancient and modern times. Greek civilization was the beginning of the orderly and the science writing. Now we can see two maps of Greek Empire. On the left, we can see Empire of Alexander the Great. It was 322 BCE. And on the right, you can see after Alexander, it was called the Hellenistic Age. This was 300 BC. And it was known as the kingdoms of the successors.
However, this is the last part of our group presentation. Civilization that appeared before the Greek civilization such as Mesopotamia and ancient Egyptian civilization. Although there are inscriptions such as Bible's palm, Davis pieces of clay or bone, but the record is not complete. Thus, in the day before the Greek civilization, the world seems to have no scientific feature. I neotize Greek science and philosophy differs from the science and philosophy of the Peninsular Greek, of the Magna Graecia Greek. The time of the science and philosophical features are neotize Sola and the Magna Graecia. The Greeks known as the Hellenic period. At the time, there were many great features such as Telos, Aristotle, Plato, and Pythagoras. The Greek who appeared during the Greek civilization in Alexandria, Egypt. They were known as the Hellenistic Greek. This Hellenistic Greek civilization also had a great feature such as Archimedes, Ptolemy, and Galen. So that's our group presentation. If you have any question, feel free to ask. Thank you.
So I would like to thank Group A for the presentation. Okay, from what we noticed, they already recorded the presentation, which is, to me, it is good to avoid connection internet problems, but we still can interact with them. Is it, Al-Mansouri? Still can ask you questions?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I just want to ask you one question here from me. So from the audience also, they are free to ask. So you just now read the objectives of this chapter, which is explaining the worldview in the scientific Greek, Islamic, Western science, comparing the epistemology of Greek, Islamic, and Western science, discussion, and so on, until the fifth objectives. So my question here is, from the slides that you just presented, which objective from these 5 objectives could cover the slides that you just presented? Maybe you can look back at the objectives and think about it. Any answer? So did you hear my question?
Doctor, we heard.
Okay. So any answer? I'm still waiting.
Doctor, in my opinion, I couldn't relate our slides to any of the objectives because it's just the introduction for the Greek civilization. But later on, so after we presented until slide number 11. So after slide 11, more about the Greek civilization is going to be addressed, like their worldview and their epistemology and their methodologies and everything else. So our it was just an introduction for the chapter as a whole and for the Greek Empire. It didn't specifically cover any of the objectives.
So still, actually, this okay, from the topic that you just presented, let's talk about the Greek empires. That means if we
Yeah.
look at the base objectives explaining the world view in the site of Greek, so still the base objectives can cover some of this slides. It's okay. Thank you very much for your explanation.
Welcome.
Okay, we go to the next group. Group B. I hope you all groups stand by for presentation. So group B is Abu Sakib, Bara'a, Mahmoud Ibrahim, Nur Anis. You are going to present the following slides. Okay, please present the group names first. Tell me who is your group names. from this group? Hello.
Hello, Doctor. Okay, for group B,
So what's your name?
my name is Nur Shadin. And then the other group
Nurshad.
member,
You are
Yeah.
from group what?
group B.
But group B, I don't have Nur Shalin. I
Eh,
have Nur Anis.
okay. I think
Are you new at this course?
no. Wait, Doctor.
Because I cannot see your name here. At the group B. Oh, so I was opening section 25. So. My mistake. So this group B. Okay, group B is representative is Surya, Budi, Ibrahim, Musa, Nur Shadin, yes, your name is here, No Afifa, and Sulhana.
Yes, Sulhana Afifa.
Okay, so you are Sulhana Afifa?
Mm.
Okay.
So I will pass the presentation to Sulhana.
Okay, where's Sulhana?
Hello, Doctor.
Hello, Assalamualaikum.
Wait, I'm sharing now. Sorry.
Okay. You are Shalin, is it? Or you are Sulhina? Sulhana, is it?
Sorry, Doctor. Nur Afifa will be presenting behalf of our group.
Okay. Go ahead, No Afifa.
Can you see my screen?
It's still sharing. Now we cannot see anything. Just a minute.
Assalamualaikum and very good morning.
Okay, you can start.
You can. Thank you.
So until now, there are no voice, you know?
Oh, really?
Yeah, there are no voice.
No voice? Sorry.
You can go to the audio and video and see the changes.
Where can I
From
find
the
it?
WebEx, go to the audio and video.
Audio and video. Okay.
Let's play there, but I don't know which one is.
Where can I find it?
Anyone can help how to go to the switch to audio? Maybe.
You have to first go to the share content, and then on the left side of the corner, there it says optimize for text and image, and there is an option optimize for motion and video.
Is it here?
Yeah, optimize for motion and video.
Yes. We have to select motion and video.
Okay.
Where?
On the share content.
Share content.
Share content, then go to the left.
In it.
Okay, then
Okay.
optimize for motion and video.
Where is
Press the share contents first.
okay.
Okay, did you press the share content? After press the share content, you will have two options. So go to the option optimize for motion and video.
Yeah, I have clicked on the optimize for motion and video.
Okay, now click the video. Start to play the video.
Let me reshare.
Baca bismillah dulu.
Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to doctor and fellow friends. So today our group which is, can you hear the voice of?
Yes, we can hear. Now we can hear.
Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to doctor and fellow friends. So today our group which is group B will be representing about Greek civilization. So according to a website called Duckstory that I've searched on Google, it stated that ancient Greece was a civilization that dominated much of the Mediterranean thousands of years ago. At its peak under the Alexander the Great, ancient Greece ruled much of Europe and Western Asia. The Greeks come before the Romans, hence the Roman culture was much influenced by the Greeks. So the Greek civilization is divided into two different groups which were represented or introduced by different philosophers. The first one is Hellen, which is the original Greeks. It was introduced by Thales, Aristotle, Plato, and Pythagoras. The second one is Hellenistic Greeks, which is the mixed Greeks. It was introduced by Archimedes, Ptolemy, and Galen. So that's a few information about the introduction of Greek civilization. Now I'm gonna pass this presentation to my friend.
Okay, so I'm gonna explain about the worldview of Greek. So based on the views of Greek philosophers, among the others, the Anaxagoras from 5 BC stated that the universe is a mixture of various ingredients from infinite elements that are very small and it's not uniform. Then the Leucippus from the end of century 5 BC, he said that the universe is made up of the smallest element, which is the atom, and will not be destroyed. The third one we have here, Aristotle from 4 BC. He explained that the universe is centered on the earth and surrounded by the star planet. The size of the universe is finite, but it remains eternal. It also contains 5 elements, which is fire, air, earth, water, and space. Then Stoic from 3 BC stated that the universe is infinite and surrounded by infinite empty space. The universe is changing and spinning like a wheel. Last but not least, the Copernicus from 3 BCE said that the universe is centered on the sun, or it's also called heliocentric. Alright, here are some just additional info about the Greek civilization from these two paintings. So from the first painting, the left here is called the Apostle Funeral Oration. It described that the Greeks are the one that started the tradition of funeral oration in order to respecting the people who had died on the war. And then the second picture here is called the Death of Socrates. So Socrates' exile means the abandonment of his teaching and philosophy. Instead of allowing himself to be exiled, he chose the punishment of death by poison hemlock. This decision was made by him, acted as a final lesson to not only his pupils, but to the people of the Athens, to pursue the truth, even if they have to face with the death. So these two paintings can give us a brief vision about how far the Greek civilization used to in the past. Then the next slide will be explained by Nur Afifa again.
So now let's moving on to the final part of our presentation, which is the core of Greek scientific thought or epistemology. So epistemology is part of the main debate in philosophy, which is a theory or study of the origins, nature, methods, and limitations of a science as defined by the lexicon Webster Dictionary. The theory or study of the origin, nature, methods, and limits of knowledge. Thus, epistemology can be understood as science or philosophical study related to knowledge, or more simply called theory of knowledge. According to Ahmad Sunawari Long, the scope of epistemological discussion is very broad and includes aspects related to the nature of knowledge, how to justify the knowledge obtained and interpret the form of knowledge, the conditions of obtaining knowledge, the limitation of knowledge, and the limitation of justification that can be made. So that's all from our group. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Group B. Okay, I have one question to you. So, based on the word view of the Greek, so from the Greek word view, which one of them close to the current fact about the universe? Who want to answer?
Sorry, doctor, can you repeat the question?
Yes. So we have this one slide talk about the world view of Greek. So my question is, so they have five theories here about the universe. So which one of those theories are close to the current fact about universe? Based on your view only. So which one is close to the current fact about universe? Okay, anyone else from maybe other groups can answer the question. So we're doing that to make it interactive and avoiding just reading the slides. I want you to understand what is the content of the slides.
Doctor,
Yes.
I think the one that suit the most is the number 4 from
Can you read it for us?
the universe is infinite and surrounded by infinite empty space. The universe is changing and spinning like a wheel.
So the universe is changing and spinning. Yeah, it's good also.
Yeah, I think that one that suit the most with the current situation.
Yes, correct. How about the universe centered on the sun? Not correct. The universe centered on the sun.
I think so too.
Well, I think not the universe, doctor. I mean the planets on the solar system centered on the suns. But the term universe, does it mean like the whole thing?
Not the whole universe, is it? Because the whole universe has
Yeah.
multiple suns. Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's what I want. I want discussion inside my course, inside my class. I don't want anyone sleep. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for the group B. So can we invite the next group C, to present?
Hello, Doctor.
Hello.
From Group C, I will present my screen. Wait.
Hey, can you read your group names, please? So I check with me who's inside the group, who's not.
Doctor, can you see my screen?
I can see your screen. Shadia, but I want you to read who is your group members.
Okay, so my group member consists of Nur Farah Shafika, Nur Farisha,
Just a minute. Nur Farah Shafika, and then?
Nur Farisha,
Okay.
Nur Shazana Jiha,
Okay.
Nur Shazrin Erina,
Okay.
myself, Shadia Huda, and Zalza Nadia.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right,
So Zalza Nadia still in our group, still in our class?
yes, yes. She's still in our section.
Okay, yeah, please go ahead. Thank
Okay,
you very
so
much.
I'm going to play this video.
Yes, play the video. Okay, there are no voice from your video until now.
Doctor, can you hear the audio?
No, we cannot hear the audio. Maybe you can do the same thing. Go to the share
Oh, okay.
and optimize the motion and video.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. Good afternoon. I speak to Dr. Jaya and everyone
Doctor, can you?
Okay.
Alright.
in the class. We are from Group C and we will continue presenting from where it has been left from the previous group. So this is our group member consisting Farah Shafika, Shadia Huda, Nur Farisha, Nur Shaza, Zalza Nadia Shabania, and I myself, Shazin Irina. So I would like to call the first presenter to present the slide, which is Shadia Huda.
Okay, thank you, Shazrin Irina. So I'm going to present my part, which is sources of great knowledge. So as we can see here on this slide, Greek civilization shows a high level of intellect ability to produce many philosophers and scientists. They also receive contribution from other civilization before. For example, Thales of Miletus. Thales was a Greek mathematician, astronomer, and a pre-Socratic philosopher from Miletus in Ionia, Asia Minor. He was also one of the 7 sages of Greece. When he was young, he traveled abroad while studying in Egypt. The great role of the Nile on Egyptian influenced Thales' thinking until he philosophized that everything started with water. Thales also began Greek mathematics inspired by Egyptian civilization. Okay, as I mentioned before, Thales philosophized everything with water. So here is Thales' belief in the importance of water. Thales stated that the permanent entity is water, in which he propounded that the earth floats on water. This assumption is derived from his point of view, where nutriment of everything is moist, and the heat itself is generated from moisture and depends upon it for existence. He also derived it from the fact that seeds of everything have a moist nature, while water is the first principle of the nature of moist things. So I will pass the so I will let the next presenter, Farisha, to present her part.
Hi, my name is Nur Farisha, and now I'm going to talk about the origin of Pythagoras. He was born on an island of Samos in Greece. But he likes to travel to Egypt to discover new knowledge, especially in terms of mathematics. Why Egypt? Because Pythagoras has a friend named Polycrates, and Polycrates was the one who sent letters to Pythagoras at that time inviting him to go to Egypt. So when he was traveling around and learning new things, he discovered that number rules the universe, therefore leads him to discover the Pythagoras theory. However, up until today, nobody knows the true history of how Pythagoras discovered the theory. He stated that a square plus b square equals to c square. This theory only works for a right angle triangle, where A is the adjacent, B is the opposite, and C is the hypotenuse, which is also known as the longest side of triangle. Next slide. Pythagoras is indeed a vegetarian. He did not consume any meat or animal-based product. In fact, he also influences his other Greek members at that time to be a vegetarian like him because he learned it from a Buddhist friend. The Greek society who did not eat meat at that time is called Pythagoreans. Pythagoras also believed that number 10 is the holiest number ever exists. This is because there is a correlation between number 10 and number 4, which is also known as tetrad. There are many theories or conspiracies on how those numbers are related, but if you want to dive deeper, you can just look it up on the internet. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Nufarisha. Next, I am going to continue this presentation. I'm going to talk about the mathematics for the Greeks. The Greeks were so advanced in mathematics that they reached the peak of their development in the field of geometry, which is in land surveying, which they took this from Egypt. So they used this geometry to measure their paddy land each year after the Nile River flood, which wiped out the boundaries made in the previous year. So apart from Egypt, Greek civilization also received knowledge from other civilizations such as writing from Phoenician people and astronomical aspects such as the measurement of the decimal dimensions, where they also received from the Babylonian, which is also known as Mesopotamian civilization. Next, I pass this presentation to the next presenter about Greek medical sources.
Thank you, Farah Shafika. Then we have a Greek medicine version. Okay, it has been said that the works of Hippocrates were translated into Arabic by Hunayn bin Ishaq for medical references purposes. During that era, precisely after the Trojan War, Hippocrates is known to be a very famous physician and got a lot of fame. Hippocrates and Galen wrote a lot of medical transcription. However, during the era, there was such a low number of scholars who can read and understand the Greek language. The need for an organized translation movement is urgent and urged other scholars to gather new medical fields knowledge. In time, Hunayn bin Ishaq was appointed to be the era's chief translator and collect many Greek manuscripts to be translated. That is why most of the books that he translated are in Arabic and Syriac language. The Greek civilization flourished and built around 3000 BC. 300 BC, sorry. To those who are wondering what BC is, it is before Christ was born. So 300 BC equals around the 3rd century. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, moving on. Greek medicine also influenced by ancient Egypt and Babylon. We all know that ancient Egypt is known as an expert of medicine or famous with surgery technology, scientifically proven, the creation and the process of mummification of the pharaoh. I think we should at least know what is the most significant influencer of Greek medicine is. It has its connection actually. Most of the time they exchange knowledge, which is why most of it looks the same. Okay, and next, it was said that the Arab people had discovered Greek and Persian medicine before the advent of Islam. And that means Hunayn was the first Arabian medical practitioners who discovered Greek and Persian medicine. Okay, that is all for now. I will pass the platform to the next person, Shaza.
Thank you, Erin. And I will talk about Greek scientific thought of core methodology. Methodology's practice in Greek scientific thought is freedom of thought, which is allows every human being to act freely without fear of the day of retribution. There is no concept of heaven and hell in their religious teachings. According to Burns, freedom is important factor that makes the Greeks so advanced in terms of of philosophy, intellect, and literature. That's all from me. I will pass it to Zalza.
Thank you, Saza. Okay, Greek embrace materialistic. Although Greeks are religious, they believe that having money and possessions is the most important thing in life. They also embrace humanism. They glorify humanism, which upholds a doctrine of freedom of thought and human capabilities. By glorifying humanism, European civilization began with returning back to the teaching of Greek philosophy during the Renaissance. Renaissance was a period in European history marking the transition from the Middle Age to modernity and covering the 15th and 16th centuries. Greeks also exhaled human as greatest being on earth. And the last is, Greeks do not submit to any religious beliefs or teachings. That's why their attitude is indeed secular, rational, and materialistic, that is glorifying a free rational mind and denying the existence of a realm other than that of nature. That's all from us. Thank you so much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Hey, Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much for Group C. So from the Group C, okay, thank you for Zalza, Nofarisha, Shaza, Nur Shazrin, and Shahida. You all gather this group, very good. But your screen wasn't clear, you know, the sound was clear, but the picture of the slides wasn't clear. It was small. Just for maybe next time, make it full screen, make the presentation of the PowerPoint full screen. Yeah, I just want to ask everyone here about things that Greek take from the Egyptians, kind of plants that taken or that they're from for the Greek from other civilizations. So what is it? And it was mentioned inside the slides. Who can tell me?
Sorry, Doctor, can you repeat the question again?
Okay, it is kind of plantation which is import by a Greek from other civilization. So what is this civilization and what is this plantation? Plants, what is this kind of plants? Anyone can answer, it's not necessarily the Group C only. So it's kind of plants that import by Greek from other civilization. So what is this plant and what is the civilization that are taken from?
Okay, I will answer it. Okay.
Yes.
For I think the plan that Greek take the answer for your question is the geometry that they have take, because until now we still use it in our syllabus, especially in mathematics, and also theorem Pythagoras is one of the basic formula that have been used in mathematics. And it also used when we want to do a calculation when building something. Or so I think that is the answer for the question, and also the medication.
Okay, I'm talking about plants. tumbuh-tumbuhan. Satu jenis tumbuhan yang diambil oleh Greek daripada tamadun lain. Itu apakah tamadun yang lain dan apakah tumbuhan atau apalah tumbuhan yang diambil daripada tamadun yang lain tu? Ini soalan saya.
Oh, okay, sorry Doctor, I misheard your question. Wait.
Okay, so this is my question.
Doctor, may I try?
Yes.
Is it oregano?
Oregano? No. It doesn't mention here directly. Okay, let me share this slide with you. Okay, can you see the word that I highlighted here?
Yes, Doctor.
So what is it?
Paddy.
Paddy. So what is paddy?
It's rice.
Rice. So it is rice that taken from the Egyptian civilization. Okay. The next question is for everyone talking about rice. Maybe to us in Jordan, the rice is modern food that we didn't know before. We used to eat what you call wheat instead of rice. Wheat, we make it like rice, and we eat it like rice. But now about the rice, who's the first nation that plant rice? Who can know? And when the rice start, you can Google it, it's okay. Who is the first nation and when it was planted for first time? Does the Prophet, the Sahaba eat rice? Who can know? Does the Prophet Muhammad eat rice and his companions?
Doctor, I think no.
Yes. You think what?
I think no. Prophet Muhammad didn't eat rice.
Really? Okay, my question is still, who is the first nation that plant rice? Who can know?
Is it Alexander the Great?
No. So it says here that the Chinese people knew the rice, or they planted the rice 2000 BC. That's been long time ago the human being know the rice. It's okay. Thank you very much for your answering. And go to the next group, group D. I invite them to present their slides. So group D, are you ready?
Yes, right.
Okay, you can share your screen.
Assalamualaikum, and we are from Group D, and these are my group members: Nurul Anis Syafiqah, Muhammad Faridul Islam, Syazana Asila, Nurin Atila, and Wardi.
Nurul Atila and Wardi.
My name is Omar Rashid Ahmed. That is just a nickname.
Yes. So this is Group D, is it?
Yes, Group D.
I don't have. So I don't. Actually, I don't have Wardi at my list.
Actually, my name is Omar Rashid Ahmed. That's just a nickname.
Omar Rashid. So Omar Rashid.
Instead of Wardi.
Ahmad. Wardi. So
Instead of
Wardi
Wardi.
is your family. Wardi is it your family name?
Oh, that is just a nickname which we use for our group.
Or Wardi your nickname? It's okay. So you have 5 persons at your group: Muhammad Faridul Islam, Omar Rashid, and Nurin.
Another guy who left us. I don't know.
This Wardi. Okay. So Nurin, Atila, Nurul Anis, and Shazana. Correct?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, please. Okay, Shazana. Go ahead.
Okay, so we will present about Greek scientific methodology. So I will pass it to Faridul.
Assalamualaikum everyone. I am Muhammad Faridul Islam. So in this slide, we will know the Greek scientific methodology. So in here, according to Greek scientific methodology, first we can see that creatures in the world are made into pairs of male and female. According to this Greek scientific methodology, we can see that the spiritual shape is the most perfect based on the argument that its shape is round. The earth is also spiritual, but because it the most perfect shape. So now we will go the next slide. So, Alisha, can you move the next slide, please?
Actually, I have the actual video.
Okay.
Let me.
Okay, in this slide, we can discuss about the Plato philosophy about nature. So we know that Plato was one of the great person in the human history, and we also know that Aristotle was the student of Plato. So here we can see some of the statement of Plato. So according to his thinking, that he thought that this world is controlled with very intelligent purpose.
Faridul Islam, can I present the actual video? Because I have the actual video.
Sorry?
Can I present the actual video which we combined together? Because I have the actual video.
Okay, can. Go ahead.
I'm sorry for the interference.
No problem.
Can you hear me?
The voice is not so clear, actually.
Let me try to.
We can have voice, but it is not so clear.
I don't know.
Hello everybody, this is Group D coming to discuss from slide 22 up to slide 26. The first slide is going to be mine. It talks about Greek scientific methodology and Pythagoras' philosophy about nature. But before we go to that, what does nature mean in philosophy? Nature has two interrelated meanings in philosophy. On the one hand, it means the set of all things which are natural or subject to the normal working of the laws of nature. On the other hand, it means the essential properties and causes of individual things. And so, there were different philosophers and they had their philosophy about nature. We go to Pythagoras' philosophy about nature. Pythagoras believed that creatures in the world are made in two pairs of males and females, and as actually mentioned in the Quran, I think that is perfect. They're all made in pairs of males and females. That's how it was supposed to be. The spherical shape is the most perfect based on the argument of the sphere is around. The earth also spherical because it's the most perfect shape. Also, that is can be confirmed because the earth has a spherical shape, and it's the most perfect what it could be actually, because it has been laid for the human being to survive on it. And those were the only two philosophies Pythagoras had about nature. So we go to slide 23.
In this slide, we are going to know the philosophy of Plato about the nature. So we know that Plato is one of the great person in the human history, and he is also the teacher of Aristotle, and who is a very prestigious person. And so here we can see some of the statement of Plato about the nature. Now I'm going to discuss his statement one by one. According to his statement, this world is controlled with a very intelligent purpose. He thought the spirit realm exists and is immortal. He also believed the earth is the center of the nature, while the sun, the moon, and other planets revolve around the earth. And he also believed the universe is only one, not as many as the atomists believe. So if we observe his statement, we can realize that in the third statement, he believed that the earth is the center of the nature. But according to our modern science, we know that the sun is the center of the planets, and all of the planets are moving around the sun. So if we judge his third statement according to our modern science, we can realize that this statement is not right. But it is true that he is a very important person of the human history.
The planet is made up of 4 elements, which are water, fire, wind, and earth. In Plato's Timaeus, which is a book written by Plato, fire, air, water, and earth are linked to both the universe and the human body, and these 4 elements comprise nature and man. He sees the 4 as being transitional in nature, for example, with water becoming wind and air, or dispersing and dissolving. Plato confirms that he sees the natural world as one where there are few constants, and one where transformation itself is common. Through this transformation, then the technique of objects comes to exist. This teaching of Plato was absorbed into Christian doctrine through St. Augustine in the Middle Ages. In any case, Plato's ideas had a profound influence on one of the great ancient philosophers, which is Saint Augustine. He adopted Plato's vision and then adapted this to Christian beliefs. It became the basis for the study of classical knowledge in European universities to this day.
Aristotle's philosophy about nature. Aristotle had a lifelong interest in the study of nature. According to Aristotle, the nature of object is immortality, which means that it is an unending existence. The objects in the world consist of four main elements: water, fire, wind, and earth, just like the view of his teacher, Plato. All of these elements have four basic values: hot, cold, dry, and wet. This view is actually the opinion of Empedocles of Agrigentum. Empedocles, he was a Greek pre-Socratic philosopher and a citizen of Agrigentum. The four basic values that I mentioned earlier, also known as the classical elements, which he called rules. Next, the universe is limited in space, meaning the universe ends after the seventh layer of the sky. According to Aristotle, stars and planets are in a crystalline sphere, which is attached to the sky wall and moves at an even speed on a circular crossing.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about Greek scientific thinking, which is ecosystem of knowledge. Ecosystems that are the driving force of scientific and technological progress in Greek civilization include four, which is the first one is religion, second is nation, third political stability, and the last one is the role of government. I'm just going to explain it shortly because the next group gonna explain it more detail. So I'm going to start with the first point, which is about religion. So as we know, the Greeks were polytheists, which means they had many gods. The chief god was Zeus, who was in charge of the celestial portfolio, which was in charge of wind, storm, thunder, and lightning. And the Greek religion does not believe in the supernatural, the laws, the prohibitions or commands, sins or reward, and the day of vengeance or ritual offerings. And there's no concept of heaven and hell in their teachings because every human being can act freely at will without fear of the day of retribution. And the Greeks did not believe in supernatural beings such as devils or ghosts. So I'm going to proceed with the second point about nation. So in nation, the Greeks are believed to have come from the Indo-European race, known as the Aryan, who came to occupy the eastern part of the Mediterranean Sea. It is this nation that has migrated to the Indian subcontinent, which building civilization there after the fall of the Harappa civilization. And I can say it shortly that in Greek they got three of it, which is the first one is non-Aryan, which come from the south, Aryan, which come from the northeast, Magna Graecia, which come from the west, south, Italy, and Sicily Island. So I'm going to proceed with the third point about political stability. So, in the 5th centuries BC, the center of Greek civilization moved to the Greek peninsula, namely Athens and Macedonia. So, under the reign of Iskandar Zulkarnain, which died in 323 BC, the Greek Empire expanded through the conquest of nearby countries as far as Persia and India. And the Greek kingdom after Iskandar's death was known as Hellenistic Greece because its ruler was no longer composed of pure Greeks. And there's a Greek science figure which divided into two, which the first one is Helen, which originally Greek, And it was Thales, Aristotle, Plato, and Pythagoras. Pythagoras. And the next one is Hellenistic Greeks, which is a mixed Greek. It got three science figures, which is Archimedes, Ptolemy, and Galen. And the legacy of Greece divided into four, which is culture, arts, science and technology, and government. And the last point is the role of government. So the role of the Greek government in overseeing scientific activities, known as Roman patronage, is an ecosystem that is a driving factor in the progress of science in Greek civilization. The term of patronage refers to a widespread practice in the ancient world, where rich or powerful men known as protectors provide financial support and opportunities to men of lower social standing. And this system fully developed in the Roman world, took on several forms, including social, political, and artistic protection. And in the context of scientific thinking, the aspect of social protection is particularly relevant as it usually involves economic relations, such as the agricultural arrangements of tenants. And the practice of patronage or protection also exists between former slave or freedmen and previous owners known as patrons or protectors. And that's all from me. So I'm going to pass it to the next group to explain it more detail about the 4 points I've said now, which is the religion, nation, political stability, and the role of government. That's all from our group. Thank you.
So that was all from our group.
Yes, thank you very much for this group. This was group D. Okay, it shows that Alhamdulillah, you have you have good information about the slides you are presenting, and this is important to me actually. I'm just want to highlight what you call a controversial issue, which is if you look at the slide 22, it is said that, okay, let me share it with you. So creatures in the world are made into pairs of male and females. And it's actually this theory approved by Al-Quran, where Allah SWT said, Surah An-Naba wa khalaqnakum azwaja, we made you into pairs, we created you into pairs, which is males and females. But now even some forms, when we want to fill up inside the internet, they will put 3 genders, males, females, and others. So what is others? We know, all of us, this issue, what is others. But now, I don't know, in Malaysia or in our society, sometimes you will meet with these soft males. Soft males just mean they behave like females, and those are actually the others. So what is your opinion about this gender? Do we have more than 2 genders, male and females? Do we recognize them? What should we do with them? Anyone want to answer? Anyone in this class? My question is open. What is your opinion about the gays, lesbians? What do you think? We're still in thinking, is it? It is our course, thinking of science and technology. So we want to, what you call, encourage your thinking about this matter. Who want to answer? Can you hear my voice?
Yes, doctor, we can hear it. But could doctor repeat the question?
Okay. So it's said at this slide, you can see the slide, creatures in the world are made into pairs of males and females. But nowadays, they said not males and females, we have others. We have gay, we have lesbians, we have so and so. So what is your opinion about this matter? Do we have more than three genders, more than two genders? Do you support this?
Actually, as a Muslim, I don't support that because in the wisdom of Allah, people have been made into pairs of males and females. We have been actually, like we have to produce. So from like gay relation and lesbian relationships, you can't actually do that. So I don't think this good.
Okay, actually for you, Omar, for your information, yes, correct. Religion, of course, our religion rejected these ideas. Maybe last 10 years, I was watching TV Satu, and they were interviewing girls, and they said they prefer to talk with a soft voice rather to talk with normal people. So we have this culture, we call it lucky lombot or soft boy. So I want to hear from my friends Malaysians. What do you think about this matter? From this group, what do you think? You want me to call names? About Shazana?
Yes. Can you repeat the question? Yeah. Yes, can you repeat the question?
Okay. At our society, we have this, what they call it, lucky lombot, or this soft boys. Do you support them? Do you like them?
Actually, in Malaysia, we are not allowed to, even Muslim, we are not allowed to support them. But we just treat them as the same as the others.
So we treat them as a human being, correct? This one we support, but we didn't support their behaviors, because we mix with a lot of people with different behaviors. Some people would come to us with good behavior. Some of them come to us with bad behavior, but we still treat them as a human being, giving them their rights as a human being. But at the same time, we should advise them. Behave like a man, behave like a man, girl behave like a girl. This is the nature. If you behave oppositely, you will go against the nature. This is what I think. Okay, thank you very much. Now we go to the group E. Are you there? Group E?
Yes, I'm here. Okay, let me share the video first.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to play the video first and test if you all can hear it, okay? If you can hear it, then you should hear good morning, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I will play the video first. Wait a second. Good morning, doctor and everyone. My name is Tanjin. Can you all hear it?
Yeah, clear, yes, clear.
Okay, so I'm going to start now. Good morning, doctor and everyone. My name is Tanjin Wei, and I'm the group representative of Group E. The members of Group E consist of Phoebe, Raihana, Roshini, Raja Hajira, and me. I will be the only one who presents today's topic. As for my group members, they've already helped me a lot. They give me suggestions and feedbacks on my presentations. They tell me maybe you should explain it in this way so that people can understand it easily. They also answer my questions regarding the contents of today's topics. They have already helped me a lot. So without further ado, let's get started. Today, I want to talk about Greek religion and Greek nations. So there are two things that I want to talk about. But firstly, let's look at Greek religion first. So for Greeks, they are polytheists. Let's look at the word. Let's look at this word. Poly means a lot. Poly means many. So this word means that many gods. They believe in many gods. Unlike other religions, they believe in one god. Greeks are different. They believe in many gods. So next up, when we think about the word gods, we will picture an image of someone almighty who can fly around, who doesn't need to eat, and who doesn't need to drink and has superpower. But for the gods of the Greeks, they are similar to human. The gods of the Greeks need to eat. Gods of the Greeks need to drink. They also live in pairs, just like how humans get married. And they often quarrel with each other. It means they fight with each other. And the only difference between gods of the Greeks and humans is that the gods' food consists of ambrosia. If you eat ambrosia, you can survive and live longer. And that's why here says that ambrosia is a dish that believed to contribute to longevity or survival. And just like humans, we have a home. The same concept can be applied to gods of the Greeks that live on the summit of Mount Olympus. They live on the mountain. And the chief god was Zeus, who was in charge of the celestial portfolio, who was in charge of the wind, storm, thunder, and lightning. It is basically like they need someone to manage everything, and the chief god was Zeus. So next up, I want to talk further about Greek religion. So for Greek religion, they don't believe in supernatural, the laws, the prohibition of comments, sins or rewards, the date of vengeance, or ritual offerings. It means that they don't believe things that there are no good or evil. There are things that deny the existence of a lot of things. And because of this, because they don't believe in everything, almost everything, they think that humans can act freely at will without fear of the day of retribution, because there is no concept of heaven and hell. So in our teachings, if you do something bad, you will go to hell. If you do something good, you go to heaven. In Greece, there is no such concept. So people do not have to fear, oh, if I do something bad, I will go to hell. No, they can do anything they want because they don't have such concept. And according to Burns 1963, such freedom is an important factor that makes the Greek nation so advanced in terms of philosophy, intellect, and literature. Just try to imagine it. In our religion, there are a lot of rules. And when there are rules, we cannot do a lot of things because religion tells us you cannot do this, you cannot do that. But for Greeks, since they don't believe in good or evil, heaven and hell, they just do anything. So they have a lot of chance to discover new things, right? Because they don't have rules, they can do almost everything and they can keep discovering new things. And that's why they are so advanced. And as we have already mentioned before, the Greeks do not believe in supernatural beings such as devils or ghosts. And they also believe that there is no moral or moral value. There is no good or evil, as I have already mentioned before. So, okay, that's all for Greek religion. Let's talk about the nation itself, the Greek nation. There really isn't much to explain about this. You are mostly learning about the history of it. So just sit back and relax and try to learn it. Okay? So the Greeks are believed to come from the Indo-European race. Indo-European race has another name, which is Aryans. I'm not sure if I pronounce it right. So these groups, Indo-European or Aryans, they came to occupy the eastern part of the Mediterranean Sea at this time, 3000 BC. So it is this nation that has later migrated to Indian subcontinent. So firstly, they first stay at Mediterranean Sea, and then they moved to Indian subcontinent. And then after they moved there, they start to build the civilization after the fall of Harappa civilization. So later, they headed for the Agency Islands and some settle on the mainland on the eastern shores of the Mediterranean Sea. So this slide mostly talks about how they moved from one place to another and what happened there. And let's look at this even further. So normally when you stay in one place, you want to get married. This is just human nature. So of course they are also humans, so they get married. They marry locals and founded the first-class Greek civilization. And this first-class Greek civilization is called Iodaris Greek or Asian. I'm not sure if I pronounce it right. Among the Greek tribes that emerged at the level of Asian civilizations were the four tribes, which are Hittites, Phrygians, Lydians, and Phoenicians. Later, the Hittites occupied an area in Syria near the city of Hama. The peak of the development of the Hittite civilizations was reached around 2000 to 1200 BC. Peak of development means that up to they do their best at around 2000 to 1200 BC. And for the iron metal material that we know now that is used for mostly everything, they are believed to be invented by Hittites. They know the secrets of making iron metal. But how do they know it? Hittites probably learned this from Syrians. Syrians know how to make steel, but because the iron metal of Hittites is not as good as the steel that is made by Syrians. And finally, the Greeks in the Greek Peninsula are believed to have come from the Danube Valley, not from the Iron Sea. They migrated south and married locals around the Southern Sea, and later a group of Greeks migrated to the west, settled and developed civilizations in southern Italy and the island of Sicily. This civilization is known as Magna Graecia or Western Greece. So for the Greek nation, you need to know when they stay and where they stay, and after they stay for a while, which they move to where, and how the civilization developed. That's mostly you need to pay attention when you learn about Greek nation. And I believe that's all from our group. Thank you very much.
Okay, that's all from our group. Thank you. And apologize, I forgot to mute myself. So you might hear some background noise.
Okay, thank you very much for Group E for the presentation. Thank you for Tan. I believe also you can present like that. However, I prefer that all groups participated, but from what I understand from Mr. Tan, that everyone participated in designing or giving ideas how to present. Thank you very much. But I was attracted by this slide. Talk about the god of so the god of Greeks. The god of Greeks are like human. To them, like a human, they eat, drink, live in peace, and often quarrels with each others. So it's also called for thinking to every one of us. Can tell me what the Islam think about God? Did he eat, drinks, live in peace? Who can answer me? Okay, can you see what I highlight? So the gods of Greek are like human. They eat, drink, live in peace, and often quarreled with each other. Is there any religion until today they believe the same thing about God? So they don't have one God. They are polytheicists and they have many gods.
Doctor, may I try?
Yeah, try.
Okay,
Please.
I'm not a Muslim, but so I'm not too sure about Islam. But I think
Yes.
in Islam they only believe in one God, which is Allah, and I think the God doesn't eat or drink like the gods of the Greek. I think only gods of the Greek similar to human. Yes.
So how about you, Tan? What do you believe in God?
I only believe in one God, Buddhist God. Yeah.
Did he
And
eat? Did he eat and drink?
no, they don't. In my belief, they don't need to eat, they don't need to drink.
Okay, so same to Muslims. God didn't need to eat or drink.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Tan. Thank you very
Yeah.
much for
Thank you,
everyone.
Doctor.
Okay, my watch is shows 12:45. We still have 2 groups to go. I think we will maybe continue by next week. But before we go, I have very important announcement here. A very important announcement to every one of you. I will also share it inside the WhatsApp group, and I want the class monitors, Mr. Tan and Fatin, to also to share this very important information announcement. Next week, so we already covered the first 3 chapters, chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3. And we said once we finish the 3 chapters, we should be ready to the test. So the test will be next week, inshallah. Next week at the same time. The test will start sharp at 11:15 until 12, taking 45 minutes. It's going to take 45 minutes. 30 questions is all objectives questions, MCQ, and it's open book. You can open the slides, see the answers, but you have only 45 minutes. It's open attempts, but the marks will given for the last attempt. So
Please tell us on what platform?
Again, so we'll have the test, which is covered 3 chapters, chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3. It is objectives questions, that means MCQ or true or false. And it's going to take 45 minutes from 11:15 until 12. Is that clear?
Excuse me, Doctor. For next week, we have mid-semester break, right? So it means we have tests in mid-semester break.
So next week we have a semester break, is it?
Yeah, because this week is week 7, isn't it? And then next week is week 8. And on e-learning, the
Week 9 is
mid-semester-
the mid break. Week 9, I think.
Week 9, not week 8.
Is it?
Let me see.
Because it's on the end of Ramadan.
Let me see.
On e-learning, Doctor also put mid-sem test on 9 May to 15 May. So I think it should be week 8, right?
Okay, just a minute. Wait for me a minute for Okay, the same break, not now, the ninth week, not next week. Ethan, can you hear me?
Doctor, you said not next week, right?
No, next week. So the test will be next week.
Next week, okay.
Yes, so the test will be next week.
So on the course information, it says week
So the
8.
same break, not next week.
Not next week.
Next 2 weeks, not next 2 weeks. So that means we still have test for next week.
Okay. Thank you, Doctor.
Doctor, how many questions will be the test?
But,
the multiple choice?
Okay, again, the questions, we have 30 questions, 30 questions.
30. Okay.
For 30, the marks is 30 marks. All of them are objective questions. There any change? Actually, should be 20 questions objective and 10 questions subjective, open and ended questions. But if there are any changes, I will let you know inside the WhatsApp group. But for now, the basic information that I have is all objective questions. But just get ready for the subject, the open-end question, please. Just get ready in case we have subjective or we have open-end questions. Okay, please spread the word and tell everyone. Please, Tan and Fatin, share this information inside the WhatsApp group.
Checking Doctor. So 11:15 to 12 p.m.
Yes.
And then on which day? Monday?
So Monday next week.
Okay, Monday next week, 11:15 to 12.
It's going to be 3 May. So from 11:15.
Okay.
11:15 to 12.
Okay, thank you, Doctor.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, that's it, guys. See you next week, inshallah, and get ready for the test. You are free to leave. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Sorry, Doctor, can I ask you something?
Yes.
I'm from Group G and we plan to do assignment for proposal according to animal testing. So should we proceed to the proposal or we need to choose another topic?
You can proceed with the topic that you
Without you checking out first.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you. Ramadan Kareem.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you. Semoga puasa semua.